Hi, hello, my name is Eric, not real Eric, and in this video I'm going to be showing off something I never thought I'd be saying out loud. I'm going to be showing off Nintendo 3DS systems working as a controller on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I've seen the Nintendo 3DS do a lot of things. It was a handheld that really truly defined the early 2010s, and yet here we are today with this clamshell dual screen design actually running modern Nintendo Switch 2 games through streaming. A new Nintendo 3DS model will be needed for this process. I learned all about this through Moonlight 3DS. For the uninitiated, Moonlight is a software that allows devices to stream and control games directly from your PC using NVIDIA's Game Stream technology. It basically tricks the device into acting as an Xbox 360 controller while also mirroring the PC screen. And because the new Nintendo 3DS has a stronger CPU and video hardware compared to the original system, it can handle the hardware encoding required. This is why this process only works on the new models of 3DS. And while it is true you could turn off the hardware decoding to get this to run on the original 3DS and 2DS hardware, the frame rate is significantly lower due to the slower CPU, to the point where playing is unviable in my opinion. Even if playing on the original 3DS and 2DS screen isn't that viable, we could still use the system itself as a controller. Because Moonlight mirrors your PC screen, you can also get creative with how you display your games. In my case, I'll be using Elgato's Game Capture HD and sometimes even Streamlabs OBS to mirror the monitor output into Moonlight, which then feeds directly into my 3DS's screen. For setup, go ahead and download Moonlight 3DS and install it onto your jailbroken 3DS system. Once it's set up and paired to your PC, go ahead and run Moonlight 3DS and choose your desktop or game window. Enter by clicking on your computer's IP address. Press the A button to enter into Stream, and then again for Virtual Display. If we attempt to do the same on original 3DS and 2DS hardware, we get this message that says hardware decoding is only available on new 3DS. Requiring hardware decoding can be turned off in the Moonlight settings, but it won't produce good results for the 3DS and 2DS. The heart of this whole setup is the Titan 2 adapter. The Titan 2 adapter is an incredibly powerful device that could take controller inputs, keyboard and mouse inputs, macros, and remaps and translate them back to almost any modern day console. It works through its G-Tuner 4 software, which gives you a drop-down menu with all detected devices. In this case, when Moonlight is running on 3DS, it will show up on the PC as an Xbox 360 controller. The Titan 2 then bridges that connection between the PC and Nintendo Switch 2. All I need to do is wire the adapter into both my PC and the Switch 2, and suddenly my 3DS is registering as a 360 controller directly connected to the Switch 2. And we have connection. The Nintendo 3DS acting as a controller on the Switch 2. Now, let's test out some gameplay. Up first, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. The Nintendo 3DS had its own 2D Mario in New Super Mario Bros. 2, a game that was heavily coin-focused, bright and playful, offered phenomenal controls and masterful level design, but truthfully, didn't really offer anything new to the Super Mario formula. However, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is wildly creative and far more expressive, and it really shows how far 2D Mario has come in just over a decade. Up next is Donkey Kong Bananza, specifically running its DLC, DK Island and Emerald Rush. Donkey Kong 64 is one of the most important games of my childhood, so the fact that we get to return back to a 3D version of DK Island is extremely sentimental to me, especially with this phenomenal rendition of Grant Kirkhope's DK Island.
That's what I'm talking about. Just means something to me, man.
I also tested out Emerald Rush. Donkey Kong games have always been about tight timing and platforming, and to my surprise, the 3DS's button layout feels perfectly fine for this. Even with the little input latency, it still was playable. I actually want to give a visual of what a 2DS running Moonlight actually looks like. In my opinion, not very viable gameplay. However, you can use it as a controller, as we see here. A lot of Animal Crossing purists still hold up New Leaf on the 3DS as the series' best, so picking up my 3DS again, but using it to control New Horizons feels like a strange crossover. You get the scale and polish of New Horizons, but it's filtered through this handheld vibe of New Leaf. Of course, I had to test out Mario Kart. Back on the 3DS, Mario Kart 7 was the handheld's big racer, and here we are playing Mario Kart World on the Switch 2 with the exact same handheld system. And while playing off of an original 3DS or 2DS screen is what I would consider unviable, clearly using the system as a controller works. There is some slight lag, but Mario Kart World plays exceptionally well with the new 3DS or 2DS. Now this one is poetic. On the Wii U, Nintendo actually let players use their 3DS systems as controllers for Super Smash Bros. This setup with Switch 2 feels like an evolution of that idea. Playing Smash Bros. Ultimate with a 3DS just kind of feels right. It's clunky in theory, but in practice, it just works. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom blew me away. The biggest game of the original Nintendo Switch now being played with the new Nintendo 3DS acting as the controller. It's honestly hilarious, but also really impressive. The thumbpad works surprisingly well for exploration, and even though it's not ideal for combat, it's still a great gimmick and a surreal experience to try out. With Super Mario 3D World being a direct sequel to 3D Land on the Nintendo 3DS, this game already has a special connection to the system. Playing 3D World with the 3DS thumbpad feels surprisingly natural, like this is how the game was always meant to be controlled. The continuity between the two titles makes this pairing feel oddly perfect. Here's one I wasn't expecting to feel too good, but wow, controlling Metroid Prime Remastered with the 3DS just felt immensely satisfying. With the addition of the dual stick controls and shooting with the ZR button on the Nintendo Switch Remaster, it ports phenomenally well to these 3DS controls and really make me wonder, what would a Metroid Prime game on 3DS actually have looked like? Yup, Fortnite on the 3DS as a controller works. And yup, it's playable. But it also had the most input lag of anything I tested. It's funny and a little clunky, but if nothing else, it proves the versatility of the setup. Pokemon on a DS-style system just feels perfect. The dual screen form factor, the D-pad, the compact size, it just matches perfectly with how Pokemon always has been played. Running around in Pokemon Violet and Scarlet with the 3DS almost feels more natural than using a Pro controller. And there we have it. In this video, we turned a Nintendo 3DS, a system that's roughly 15 years old, into a working controller for the Nintendo Switch 2. It took a modded 3DS, Moonlight, and the Titan 2 adapter, but the end result is hilarious and kind of mind-blowing. It's not perfect, there's lag, and it's definitely not something you'd want for competitive play, but it's a wild novelty that actually works. I love finding weird ways to keep these older systems relevant, and this has to be up there as one of the coolest experiments I've had so far. But that's going to be all for me today. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Eric, not real Eric. Stay real, stay safe, stay you. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter, and we'll catch you in the next one.